Eternal, please.
Hey Fred,
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm just still trying to figure it out to formulate this question.
Yeah.
So ever since our session,
Mhm.
um, eternal, the
Mhm.
the construct of eternal has
Mhm.
gone away, but
Mhm.
there's still eternalness. So logically, I know I cannot be eternal, but there's still this wanting to cling to something, to some sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
identity. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if I should just allow this limbo to happen, and if it leads to something else, or just be okay where what it is and not having a center or some sort of identity.
What's happening is when you and I had our session, I used to see a lot of this. I don't see so much of it now, but you saw clearly what you were not. You were not a being called eternal. You were not a man. You're not just, but really it amounts to you're not just a man. To see what you are is one side of freedom. The other side of freedom is seeing what you are. Seeing what you are not, that's great. But if you are not that, then what are you? If you're not an eternal, what is it that's talking to me right now? Since you're not an eternal, I should say. Are you waiting for oneness to show up?
There's also the knowing that there could be no other experience because oneness is oneness, so there's no actual experience, but it still doesn't feel like it.
What do you think true freedom feels like?
I think it feels like disidentification from the thoughts and the bodily patterns and those sensations.
So all of that stuff will actually remain. You're not going to think that you're a ghost or something. You're still going to have a human experience. Your consciousness, you are awakeness itself, whatever the hell that is. And but your consciousness is coming through that body. Nisargadatta used to call these bodies the food of consciousness, and that ain't too far from the truth. It's because the consciousness cannot exist. This cannot be without that consciousness. Nothing, in other words, nothing can exist without you. You are this consciousness. Where is eternal, or whatever it is you may be that's bugging you? Where is that in relationship to this?
Eternal is made up, so I'm not sure where he would be.
Okay, yeah, that's the point that I'm trying to get to. Is if you weren't making up an eternal, what would your experience be right now?
I think it'll be kind of similar to how it is, but just a more feeling of freedom and peace and
So,
bliss.
and that can happen too, and it will happen probably a pretty good bit once you really see this. Once this moves from head throughout the I don't want to say the body, but once it becomes greater as clarity grows. But understand that your experience right now, that's what freedom feels like when it doesn't feel like it's freedom. That's that's what the truth feels like when it thinks it's wrong. There's no getting free because there's absolutely no bond here.
Is there a way to switch those perspectives then to freedom feeling like it is free instead of feeling like it's not free?
Uh, well, freedom is not a user of thought. And what you're using right now to try to contemplate that which is beyond the mind, beyond language, is you're trying to figure it out so you can put it into words and have it all like ducks in a row. And what the only way you can really experience what you're actually wanting to experience is to let go of wanting any particular experience. You are oneness, aren't you?
Right.
So what do you think is thinking right now? What do you think's talking to me?
Oneness.
Oneness. So I just want to make sure that what's happening here. I'm oneness too. So oneness is telling oneness that oneness is not having the oneness experience.
Right.
Is that possible?
Wait. No.
No. This is the oneness experience, but we have these dreams of grandeur that it's going to be some other way. I'm not even going to, I won't care if Fred's arm gets cut off, I'm not going to care. I won't even feel any pain. And I say, good luck, with that. This unit experiences pain, but it's not upset about it. It may be for just a moment, like, well, I've lost my arm. Betsy, get me a bandage. That's just prudence. That's not a thinking action, and it's not somebody's action. That's just automated. You realize I'm not talking to an eternal. I'm not talking to some singular being somewhere. There's no eternal to surrender. There's no Fred to surrender. It can feel like that, but it cannot be, because when there's no individual, an experience, then there's no individual to experience to have. There's no such thing. So the key when we talk about you just have to surrender to this. Here's what the part that I couldn't get for years and years. I just couldn't imagine that when they said that to me, that they were talking about this. I knew about this, but I wanted a this that I could surrender to. I mean, I can't surrender to this. Why not? Because I think I'm something that has to surrender, something else that has to surrender to this. The only thing that awakeness or oneness or whatever you want to call it has to surrender to is relativity. We always think that this relative being has to surrender to God. There's no one here to do that. So the call is on God to surrender. See, awakeness, consciousness has no objection to anything. You weren't told, or you weren't told from the heavens, you got to get your shit together. If you want to get involved in this, you better quit smoking, quit drinking, quit doing this, quit doing that. You can't lie. You can't, what you notice is the bodies do what the bodies do. And if you're called to this, you're going to come like a motley ragamuffin like I was. You're going to come and you don't even know you're coming. You wouldn't come if you knew what was coming. We come as we are. Exactly as we are. Confused, and if we wanted to go there and use that term, confused and sinful, unworthy. But people say, I don't feel like I'm worthy of this. Well, there's nobody there to be worthy of this or not be worthy of this. They're just this. This is worthy of this. See, I'm looking for a different this. Yeah? I'm looking for this that doesn't feel like anything like relativity did. Because I think I've graduated from relativity and you haven't. What you're still within the bounds of relativity. You're still going to have a relative experience. But what's having the relative experience is awakeness, not an eternal. As you know, there's no eternal. That only leaves awakeness, because that's the only thing that is here. If we've got this and we take away awakeness or consciousness, the only thing we can speculate on is that we'll no longer have this, but doesn't mean we'll have a substitute. There's only this. The funny thing about this is that it's exactly as it is. And I didn't want this to be like this. If I was going to surrender, I wanted, like honest to God, with the arrogance that I woke up with. I mean, it was just unbelievable until a little bit of clarity dawned. The arrogance was so extreme that the first line of thought that went through the unit upon awakening was, it must have come in, it must have gone out while the other was coming in, something. They passed each other, because there's something that said, Buddha never saw this. I mean, can you imagine that kind of arrogance? Buddha never saw this. But I came to see that every realized being has realized that the this we're talking about is this exactly as it is. That means with hangnails and bad haircuts and not enough money in the bank and all of this, there's a way to come to see that everything may not be ideal for the unit. Can't be ideal for any one unit. There's 8 billion of us. And each one of us wants to have our own particular oneness. You know why? Because I'm in the middle. Can't you see? I'm right in the middle everywhere I look. There I am, but here I am. I'm right in the middle of everything. Every time, doesn't matter. If I go outside and look around, I'm still right in the middle of everything. I don't know why these people, I mean, they're so damn selfish. They keep thinking about what they want to do when really I feel like they should be thinking about what I want to do. It's the recognition that, oh, I'm it, but I don't even know what that is. So there has to be some humility where, so that there's not the grumbling that this ought to be a little different. My experience ought to be a little different. That is the dream, is that this ain't right. Every human being's first thought, every time, every day, if there's gonna be thought, it's gonna start with one, and it's gonna be, I'm afraid. Once that I'm afraid is believed, then all of a sudden what we've got is that I'm afraid, and what's the second thought for everyone? It's automated as well. I'm afraid, and this ain't right. See, we can only tell what isn't it. We can never say what is, because it's not sayable, it's not doable. And this that we think is not the way that it should be is the only way that it can be. This is it. And it's just fine like it is. That's the great okayness. Just bow to this. But I want to have more money. No, you just recognize you've got the money you have. I used to think, I mean, for years, really a long time, well into awakening, that I had to question all the time, I don't have enough money. And then I'd go through and find out, well, there's no evidence of that. I'm in a warm house and my belly is full. My cats are fed. What I want the lap of luxury. Therefore, this isn't it. I mean, is that what I'm calling for? You're not made more special by realization. You're made absolutely ordinary. The more ordinary you are, the happier you're going to be. Because when you're really ordinary, you don't have this big bunch of entitlement. Because I think I know how things should be. So that's the truth, is it's just a trick of the mind. And you can, and it can be seen through, but it won't be seen through by eternal. And that's what you're waiting for. You're waiting for it, and you don't know it because you don't believe in an eternal, but that's eternal in there still saying, this can't be right. I think I should feel different. Well, you're the universe. If you're not supposed to feel and look and be like this, what's your next best suggestion?
When you said that last thing, that I don't know what it is, because I know I'm not eternal, but it's still kind of eternal looking through the situation. I feel that I can't be the eternal logically, but I still feel like I'm exhibiting the patterns and the thoughts and the behaviors.
Okay. So wait a minute. You've seen that you're not. How old are you? 27?
Yes.
Yeah. So for 27 years, you believed you were an eternal.
Yes.
You discovered that you were not an eternal in a like that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you really think that quick second is of realization, or that minute, or that 10 minutes, whatever it is? Do you think that's going to wipe out 10 years of conditioning? Or, excuse me, 27 years of conditioning?
Well, I thought it might.
Yeah, we all did, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, we all did. We always thought, and I always thought, I mean, when I woke up, I was like, where are my diapers and a cane? I'm going to India and get my crowd. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and lead my people, like Ramana or something. And it was just, I was so sure that I was so much better than I was. And I thought that, and I thought it was so much holier than I was. There's nothing unholy, so it's very difficult for me to claim myself to be holy. This is holiness. And as long as there's a sense that, well, how come I can't see? See, that's eternalness. That's eternalness. That's the thing you don't believe in, but that's ego. That's ego saying, this can't be right. I would feel differently if I was awake. What would you feel like if you were awake? Do you even know? No. How much experience have you had with awakeness? None. But I'm sure this is not the way it is. See, that's just that arrogance coming through. You're not much better off than I was. What happens with genuine, authentic awakening, if the best part about it is that you just lose your argument with the world. Your argument with the world just drops. So that there really is that I don't know a better way for this to be. I don't even know what it is now. I don't even know what it is that doesn't know what it is. That's how lost I am. And I love being so lost. If I get to where I know just a little bit more God, I'm going to pray to forget it. Because the less I know, the happier I am. That's the truth. I don't teach. I'm an unteacher. I'm trying to unteach you what you think you know. But there has to be the willingness to accept the truth once it's been presented. I've said this a million times, but that's the one thing that I require in order to have a successful awakening session with somebody, is there has to be the willingness to accept the truth, to notice the truth. If you can realize and then be willing to live in confusion. See, I don't, I mean, it's not like a personal sort of confusion. It's just that what's really here? What's really going on? Do you have any idea? I mean, when we look at something on outer space, you know, look at the size of the universe, and you think you should understand it. You think you should be able to put all this together. That's that natural human arrogance. We can't realize that we can't put together that which of which this thing is a part. This thing, the only way this thing can really be free is to quit trying to figure this out and just let it be. What if everything's supposed to be just like this? And what if your arguments don't do anything but keep you out in the dream? Because it shouldn't be quite like this. It should be like this. And once you let go of the argument that it shouldn't be like this, and you shouldn't be treated like this, and this and that and the other, all these arguments, once you just let go of the main argument, which is you believe you're an eternal when you're not, just let go of the argument with the world, and all of a sudden what you notice is that in the absence of a Fred, everything's fine. I used to have a barber. Everybody's heard this, but I used to have a barber. His name was Fred too. And every time I went to go see him, I would walk in and I would say, "Hey, Fred, how you doing?" And just as a kind of a joke, it was his name too. And he would say, "I'm fine, Fred. How are you, Fred?" And I would say, "To tell you the truth." Now listen to this carefully. In the absence of my opinions, everything seems to be going okay. Everything seems to be just fine. He loved that. He didn't know what the hell I was saying, but he knew it was true and he loved it. The only thing that separates us from the heavenly experience, if you will, which is just this experience, it's just from the ordinary experience, which is the heavenly experience. But just this ordinary experience, the only thing that's keeping you from it is your opinion that this ain't it. And you can hold that opinion from now till death. Awful lot of people do. An awful lot of people who come to me and have an awakening session will still go right back to seeing it that way. They haven't, you see, when you wake up, let me stress what awakening is. Awakening is an invitation. Most of the times we get that invitation and we spurn it. That's the truth. Most people do not want to wake up. How do we know? Because they don't clear. They'll take that waking up experience because that's fun for the unit. Let's see the idea. What if waking up is awakeness, waking up to what it really is? There's never going to be a realization by the unit. This is just because there's not a unit, there's not anyone running a unit. There's no center of this unit. It's just patterns. This is just a bunch of patterns. Patterns don't have the capacity to realize. It's awakeness that realizes truth. Let that be until next time. Just do your very best to, what if you just told yourself, I can't figure this thing out. Oh, I can't figure this thing out. But you recognize, if you really recognize, and I'm just telling you, I'm swearing to you it's the truth, and I got no reason to lie. If there's nothing that you can do to bring about a deeper, further, more genuine experience, and if this is as good as it gets and it's not satisfying, it's only because there is eternalness in the way. There's that sense of localized presence that I'm still a being in the world, or be it being in consciousness, and consciousness is right down the block, whatever. It's that I can't get to it. I can't get quite clear. The most common phrase that I hear for people in post-awakening is, I thought I should be clearer than that. Fred, I should be clearer than this. That's what it is. How do you know? Well, I just made it up. Oh, really? So you want to stick with that? Yeah, I think I will, thanks. I'll just soon suffer. Fine, go ahead, have at it. But if you don't want to suffer, then you've got a whole nother set of options. I'll see you later. Thank you, Eternal.
Thank you.
Yeah.